Good day, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Line up, line up. Welcome to yet another Hodlnots Happy Hour Hangout session. This one for the month of June 2025. And it might be winter or summer wherever you are, but there are seasons. And speaking of seasons, we've got a whole bunch of things happening over here. It's the season of Bitcoin conference. We were talking about it in the last Hodlnots Happy Hour Hangout session. We're going to be debriefing as to what all went down from Hodlnots' perspective at Bitcoin 2025. Ooh, all right. So we've got some interesting guests here today. Welcome to it. Welcome. Some of the regulars, definitely. Trying to see a couple of new faces. All right, interesting. Well, good morning to Florida, South Africa. Where else have we got? Canada. Yeah, you can drop those emojis. Hello, Marcel. Hello, Vicky. Hello, Wendy. How you guys doing?
Hello. We're great. We're absolutely fantastic.
Amazing. There you go. Bring those emojis in. Love it. Love to see those. Thanks, everybody. Cool. Keep it
I
down.
have a salad in front of me.
Why?
I'm
Are you on
happy.
diet?
Yeah, I think I overindulged during the Bitcoin 2025. Big time.
I mean, American food is pretty darn tasty, I must say.
It was
Yeah.
so
So,
good.
so are you permanently on diet now with salads and stuff, Wendy, or is it just kind of like a
No,
fast?
no, there's no way I can permanently be on one now.
Well, I mean, my favorite kind of.
For a day. For a
Mhm.
day.
Oh, okay, for a
I
day.
see this for a day. How about you, John?
Yeah, I have salad at least once a week, and it normally involves,
Once a week.
well, a couple of things, like there's little, well, I consider pizza salad, believe it or not, because
Oh,
you got all
typical.
these
Typical.
toppings. Well, of course, I mean you get bread, croutons, and you get some cheese and whatever, and it's basically a salad just warmed up, right?
It's a
Except
carbs.
you have to,
Carbs.
yeah, but you have to put the avocado on afterwards. Warm avocado? Ooh, I don't know. Some people really enjoy it. Badger, do you ever eat salad, or is it kind of like a mixture between like a steak and some chicken as a vegetable?
I,
What's
yeah, I must admit I enjoy my vegetables more cooked. So there is certain salads like carrot salad and stuff like that, but like a normal green salad, I'm not a big fan. I'd rather have like cooked vegetables, I think.
Yeah, vegetable salads. I mean, some people enjoy like a 3 or 4 bean salad. I don't know that never goes down very well. Vicky, how about yourself? Are you on diets and on the salads and stuff after the US trip?
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, I like a salad. And living in Sydney where it's usually hot, but this cold weather, ugh, not salad weather at all, this cold weather.
Hmm. Fair point. Fair point. Anyway, we're not going to talk about salads the whole show. I promise you guys. Have a look around. There's some really cool stuff that is around the studio. Thank you to our creative genius, Vicky. Of course, the ever-present Fireball and Tequila, which didn't really make an appearance, thank heavens. Although just next to the Fireball, we did have an appearance by Elvis. That was pretty darn good. Yeah, what else is happening around here? Vicky, you want to take us through some of this, or do you want people to guess kind of what's happening?
Oh, I think it's just really the aftermath of Las Vegas. So Elvis has now aged, as we all have. And yeah, and then we're celebrating with some champagne and headache tablets.
Oh,
We
yeah.
have some, yeah, we have some comfy slippers because,
Okay.
oh my goodness, we walked about 30,000 steps every day while we were there. And then there is a little bit of a hint for Marcel in front of him, what's possibly to come. And yeah, we had a great time in Vegas, and we'll be talking about that later in the call.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be talking about the ins and outs of how Bitcoin Trend and Forecast was represented at Bitcoin 2025, but specifically Hodlnots, this being the Hodlnots Happy Hour Hangout. And then this episode 47, can you believe it? We're going to be covering a couple of topics, some of the usual things as well. Marcel's going to be touching on the percentages that have been grabbed in the den of late, as well as some of the contests. And perhaps some special news. Then quickly, hands up, or at least give us a thumbs up if any of you watched the weekly warm-up session on Monday, or the recording thereof. Give us a little thumbs up if any of you, well, thanks for the hands up, Justin, but a thumbs up. Yeah, we had a couple. There we go. All right. So yeah, if you guys thought or had any feedback on that new feature for the Hodlnots weekly warm-up, it's a quick less than 15-minute segment. It's not as interactive as this. It's basically us trying to warm up the market and bring you guys some of the news headlines. If you have any comments on that, drop it in the Q&A section down below. We will be dropping in a poll in the lodge as well, just to hear from you as to what all you might like to hear, not only in the Hodlnots Happy Hour Hangout, but as well as the weekly warm-up. And just a heads up, Vicky's going to be taking us through some Hodl aerobics next week, Monday, in a new segment. So everybody start, stretching, getting ready for that. There we
I know
go.
it's Michelle's favorite.
Yeah, I,
I need
I
to.
wouldn't,
Yep.
I wouldn't deny it.
He's at a loss for words.
Yeah, he is lost for words. He's trying to be diplomatic and it's not quite working.
That was good.
There's another new. Speaking of new stuff,
Mm.
for those of you that are IPO members, I know there are some Hodlnots that definitely are IPO members, but IPO members are all over the Bitcoin Tough umbrella. There is a new feature, and you heard it here first. There's a new feature that we are launching or introducing over there in the IPO chat. So if you're an IPO member and you have not yet joined the Telegram chat, or not the chat, rather the channel, apologies. If you haven't joined the Telegram channel, please make sure that you're in the channel. We're going to launch a new feature there soon, which will be some great value for the lucky winners.
Yeah, it's really good value actually. It's exclusive. It's normally saved for only
Very exclusive, yes.
Yeah, very few members. So good opportunity there for people.
Ooh. Okay. All right. So, how do people find out more information about the IPO membership, Vicky Marcel?
So if they want to join the IPO now, they can just look on our website. But if they are already IPO members from back in the day, or they've bought IPO membership after we introduced it on the site as a subscription, then just make sure that you're on the IPO chat. You should have received an email way back, but I'm sure we might just repop those emails out for everyone that are active IPO members to just remind them about getting onto that channel.
Okay. Fantastic. So, guys, check your emails from way back when if you guys aren't part of the IPO members and you were part of the initial launch of BTAF token. The term we use is you were grandfathered in. Even if you are of a different gender, it still applies. You're still around, and you want to be part of the ever-evolving landscape that really is BTAF tokens and Bitcoin TAF's IPO members. There are a whole bunch of benefits to that. And again, more information in the channel. You can also check out the FAQ page on Bitcoin TAF as well around IPO members and a bunch of other resources. So please do check that. Not a problem, Michael. Great to have you pop in. Thanks for that. The other Michael as well. Just appreciate the weekly news update. It's excellent. Thanks very much, Donasian. Very informative. Nice to get a quick analysis of where Bitcoin is at. Yeah, it is kind of important to see where not only where Bitcoin is at technically, looking at trading view and analysis, but we do touch on a lot of the news that is being made around the world around Bitcoin and crypto in general. We are going to cover one or two of those articles or concepts at least a little bit more in detail in this session. I saw some really interesting around Bolivia, and I'll get into that in a short while. But let's talk more about Bitcoin and Bitcoin conference. Wendy, some of your highlights from the conference, from not just Vegas itself, but the conference, the people there, and so forth.
Oh yes, the conference was absolutely set up wonderful. The booths were really nice. Lots of great people we met during the course of the entire conference. Goodness, I like the fact that there was a burger place that was actually taking Bitcoin. So
Mhm.
they were there and they had their own booth and they were advertising that they were starting to take Bitcoin there locally in Vegas. So that was really nice for the USA to be to having a booth set up like that. There was lots of people wandering around. The energy was extremely high. There were lots of interviews going on, lots of fun people. It was just very informative, a lot of the booths, and to see that people that were there. I just enjoyed the whole conference. It was at a beautiful facility. Um, I unfortunately didn't get to see a lot of the really great speakers. So otherwise, I would be able to have a take on that. But other than that, it was just a really great conference. How about you, John? What did you find that was great?
Well, I mean, just the general hype around Bitcoin. I mean, they broke their record numbers from their last biggest one in 2022. They had 27,000 visitors over the 3 days. So they broke 35,000 visitors to the Bitcoin conference. The expo hall and all the speakers, those auditoriums and stuff. 35,000 people over those 3 days, and a lot of them got to walk past Bitcoin Trend and Forecast. And actually, a lot of people were asking about the HODL fire, and it was pretty amazing actually for
Mm.
that. Yeah, so that was a pretty cool highlight. Being able to show people that they can trade, Bitcoin. Obviously, that was the focus of the conference, as well as all these other great alts. I mean, do any of you guys just pop it in the Q&A? Do any of you guys trade Bitcoin, as in not hodl? Do any of you guys farm Bitcoin on the 4 hour, the day, whatever it is? Pop it in there, just out of curiosity. But a lot of us like to scalp trade and use a hodl fire for all these other volatile percentage moving coins. And we've had Raven resurrecting itself from the deep when was it last week and a little bit of this week as well. We had great runs by AXL, etc. Marcel will talk more about that shortly. But a lot of people wanting to know how they can add coins to their bags using the hodl fire. So that was great, and we saw that as well with the Australian Crypto Convention. Yes, Mark, I'm looking at you. So that was pretty cool from my perspective. And then one of the things, Vicky and I had a debrief with some of the organizers yesterday of the Bitcoin conference, and one of the points that I brought up that was really interesting was the Bitcoin Bazaar. And this is where you could see people selling anything from visual arts, to NFT merchandise, to burgers, to a whole bunch of things. And they broke a world record, Guinness World Record, in terms of the most number of Bitcoin transactions. I think it was within an hour. And that was pretty incredible to see walk around. They had 3D printers and t-shirts and a whole bunch of great things. So that was really cool. And I didn't realize that until, well, when we were at the conference, but Bitcoin mining is massive in the United States. I would say at least 25% of the actual conference space. There was a whole Bitcoin mining operation where you could get little plug-in USB little miners to, the big rigs, container sized. And I mean, some of the big names were there. Amara, one of the bigger Bitcoin mining institutions, was around the corner from us. And I think they mined like 109 Bitcoin last month alone. So there were some really big names around that. So that was interesting, a bit of an eye-opener, not realizing that Bitcoin mining is not something people do in their garage, but countrywide. It was really, really interesting. So yeah, there were quite a few eye openers, and we'll probably talk about a few more as we go along. But Vicky, some of your highlights from the conference?
Yeah, mine was the same. Mine was actually learning more about the frustrations and the sentiment from the people that live in the US and Canada, because they're very similar.
Mm.
So it was interesting to hear what they had to say about crypto in the last couple of years, because they have been quite hobbled because of the previous administration, but they're also confused as to why this administration hasn't opened more up yet. So it's interesting to speak to them and learn their hopes and what we can do for them. Is oops, Marcel's gone. And learn their hopes and what we can do for them. So we learned a little bit more about how they have to work over there so we can change what we do for all of our US members as well. So I really enjoyed that. And also just as I mentioned on the other call, don't want to use the word fanatics, but they are fanatics, the Bitcoin fanatics. It was really
Uh,
fun to see that community, because it really was just a Bitcoin conference, and it was fun to see that community getting together and promoting their coin. And as you mentioned, Guinness Book of World Records was set, everyone's using Bitcoin, and it's fun to be around that kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely. Yeah, there was this hum of Bitcoin in the air, basically. Well, probably literally as well. But yeah, it was really interesting. Yeah, again, speaking to a lot of the Americans around, um, from a tax point of view, and whether they're, because they're hodling. Um, but yeah, things are going to change. We know things are going to change in the US. There's, obviously we talk with the SBRs and everything else as well. Uh, Not only on a federal level, but on a state level as well. So that's really great to hear. And yeah, just looking at a lot of the news, and we'll touch on some of more of the headlines on Monday again, in the weekly warm-up. But we're talking about a lot of application use of things like Ripple. We talk about Ms. Solana, ADA. Michael Saylor is still incredibly bullish. I mean, he was one of the speakers. Don Essien said, I listened to the talk of Ross Ulbright at the Bitcoin conference speaking about his experience in jail, and it was really good. Now, I don't know if the talk was really good or if his experience in jail was really good. We need to clarify that. I didn't hear about that talk. But yeah, there were some really great topics on that. Thank you. Then, yes. So there was a question. We've had this before. Not every single Hodlnots Happy Hour Hangout do we give away the HODL Fire indicator. It is super affordable anyways in the store. However, if you guys did watch the recording of the live session on Monday for the Hodlnots weekly warm-up, there is a chance for you and two of your friends to win the Hodl Fire for 30 days. All you need to do is head on over to Hodlnots on Twitter or X, Facebook or Instagram, and read the latest post there around where it says enter to win. Very simply, ladies and gents, if you'd like your friends to benefit from the Hodl Fire, then, and yourself, of course, then enter. Very simple. Go read the instructions on there. It's a really simple way to win yourself Hodl Fire for 30 days, as well as two of your friends, because sharing is caring. And you have until tomorrow around this time in which to enter. So please make sure you get in there. Now, there were a couple of other headlines in the weekly warm-up. Well, there were some great headlines in the weekly warm-up, and one of them I want to extrapolate a little bit more. And I'm actually going to bring Vicky in for that because you guys have all heard about the crypto fear greed index before, right? Have you ever kind of figured out what it really means? Well, Vicky's going to tell us more now.
Okay, fear and greed index. We hear about it, but I don't know if everyone knows what it is. So I've just put together a little presentation about what it is and how it's calculated. So the fear and greed index is basically a tool that analyzes the sentiment of the cryptocurrency market. And they use a variety of data, and we'll go into that shortly, and they combine it all together and they come up with a score from 0 to 100. And sometimes you'll see a chart like the one on the right, and this is quite an old chart, I just realized, because Bitcoin is $30,000. Woohoo! Wouldn't we have loved to buy it then?
Take us back.
Yeah, but sometimes you will see a chart like this on the right-hand side of the screen, and you'll see the Bitcoin price, you'll see the fear and greed index, but mostly you'll see a little chart like this on the left, or a little graphic like this on the left, and the dial will, like a fire danger or whatever, the little dial will change depending on if it's 0 to 100. So what does that mean? So the next one, this is how they break it down. So that little chart has 0 to 24, and then 25 to 49, 50 to 74, and then 75 to 100. And depending on where the little dial is or the little arrow is, and that's what will tell you what the sentiment is of the day. And these are the four categories that they use. So extreme fear, if the dial is all the way to the left, it means that there is a strong selling pressure and a general feeling of pessimism. So if the dial's on the left, everyone's going, oh, they're afraid of the market, what the market is doing. There's nothing positive. And then it goes up from there. So if it's 25 to 49, people are still fearful, but they're a little less fearful. They're more cautious, and they still have a little bit of concern about the market. And then if it's 50 to 74, people are starting to get a little bit more optimistic, and they're willing to take a little bit more risk on the market. And then if it's extreme greed, 75 to 100, it signals that the market is bullish and everyone's happy. And that might not be a good thing, weirdly, because that's when FOMO kicks in. And when FOMO kicks in, that's when you start to trade incorrectly sometimes. You get in too late. Everyone's doing it, so I'm going to do it too. And we'll see why this fear and greed index can help you not do that as well. So because sometimes if there's extreme fear, the market might be undervalued because no one's buying anything. So it's actually counterintuitive, because if everyone's fearful and no one's buying, that could be a signal that it is a good time to buy. And conversely, if it's extremely greedy, if everyone's extremely greedy and they're all buying in and they're all FOMOing in, well, maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe that is a signal for you to sell. And we teach that on the Hodlnots course, actually, in the minutia, because when we're scalping, it's always better to sell when everyone's buying, because you have a lot of buyers to sell your coins to. And it's the same with this fear and greed index. When everyone's greedy and buying, if you're in profit and if you're happy with your profit, sell, because there's buyers. It's always harder to sell when no one's buying, if that makes sense. So the fear and greed index is kind of a little bit counterintuitive, what you think it is, but it does help you in that instance. So how is it calculated? Now, interestingly enough, there are different fear and greed indices. It depends on what website you look at. So each website will calculate their fear and greed index slightly differently. And you can actually do your own as well if you know how to code. But broadly speaking, they use 5 different categories in which to calculate this index. One of them is volatility. So a rise in volatility is a sign of a fearful market. So they calculate how volatile is the market. And then there's market momentum and volume. So the current market momentum is compared to the current volume. So when buying volume outpaces the momentum, it signals the market is getting too greedy. So more people are buying than that should be buying, and because everyone's getting greedy and everyone's FOMOing in. So that is one of the other metrics that they use. They also, some of them look at social media. So if people are talking on social media, they're looking for good and bad. So if everyone is buoyant, that could be a good or bad thing. So they're actually trolling the social media sites and seeing what people are talking about on the social media sites. Dominance. So John talks about this all the time. So Bitcoin dominance is a big factor in the fear and greed index. A rise in Bitcoin dominance is considered a sign of a fearful market because everyone is moving to the safer, stabler coin. So Bitcoin is very stable. It doesn't, as we see, it's been going sideways for quite a long time, but it's very stable. It doesn't have those wide volatility swings. So if Bitcoin dominance is rising and all the money is going into Bitcoin, the market is more fearful of doing something else. So they're putting their money into a stabler coin. If Bitcoin dominance falls, it's a sign that people trading the market are getting more greedy, or they're getting bolder, and they're moving their money into less stable coins. So it's interesting that you think it would be the other way around, but it's not. So Bitcoin dominance, not only is it good to know what Bitcoin is doing, it's so important that the fear and greed index uses that to calculate that as well. And then trends. So interestingly, they scrape Google to see what people are Googling. So if people are Googling, oh my gosh, is the market going to crash? That's one metric. Or if people are Googling, ooh, how long, what's Bitcoin going to do in the next, is it going to go to $1 million? So they use those 5 metrics. And there are other sites that use other things, but this is a broadly speaking graphic. And they put it all together, and that's how they get the 0 to 100. So it's interesting because why do we want to measure this? I mean, why does this help us? And basically, as we all know, I think everyone here who's a trader has experienced it, the crypto market is very emotional. So emotion plays a big part of this. And people tend to get greedy when the market's rising. And that's, as I mentioned before, that's FOMO. If you see a coin going and going and going, oh, and I must get into this coin, and you could possibly get in at the wrong time. But now that you know that if people are greedy, you can also be greedy, but you have to just be a little bit careful, because it is a sign that the market is probably overbought and there could be a correction coming. So if the market's very greedy, if it's going toward 100, it's just like, ooh, okay, let's just be a little bit cautious here. Also, sometimes the other way happens as well. So people will sell their coins in somewhat of an irrational reaction if they're seeing fear. So as we all have heard, if the market is not going well on your way down, that's the last time you should be selling, because really you should be doing the opposite, because you don't want to sell when everyone else is selling. You want to sell when everyone else is buying, as I mentioned before. So looking at this fear and greed index, it's a good way to just test the market out, see what it's doing. Now, as I mentioned before, extreme fear is a sign that traders are worried, but that could be a good buying opportunity for you. And when investors are getting too greedy, that means the market possibly would be due to have a correction, because greed can't just go on and on and on. So that's why they measure it. They're kind of trying to help us as traders. Now, is this a short-term or long-term indicator? Now, the fear and greed index doesn't really correspond to bear and bull runs. It's more of a micro indicator. So it reacts to the news in the short term. And they actually update this fear and greed index every day. So it's really what happened on Twitter, what's the market doing, what Bitcoin dominance doing, all the things that we just learned. And they pop out a number every day. So it's really a short-term indicator. Now, it's not a short-term indicator. So us as scalpers, we can't really use the index for individual trades, but what we can do is use the index to see, okay, what's today doing? So, what's the market doing today? What's everyone thinking about? It's not so much, as I mentioned, individual trades, but it is just the general overview of what the market is doing. Then, how can traders use the index, as I mentioned? So, contrary to what may look obvious, as I mentioned before, it's really the opposite. So there's a famous saying that be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. So that is what the fear and greed index is trying to say. So when everyone that doesn't know as much as we do, fearful and oh my gosh, the market's crashing, or the day is crashing, or the coin's crashing. And this actually does go for scalping as well. If the coin's crashing, I'm going to sell. No, that's not when you sell, because you want to sell when everyone's buying. So as I keep mentioning, it's the opposite of what you think it is. When people are buy, and this goes for scalping too, as we've all done it. We see a coin's going and going and going, and you get in too late and it crashes. Well, that's because you have FOMO and you want to get in and join the party. So that's actually when you have to sit back and go, oh, wait a minute, I think this might be over. Maybe I should be waiting for the correction. And then the opposite of when everyone's selling, that could be the good opportunity to buy. So that's really what the fear and greed index is, and that's how it is calculated, and that's really how we can use the fear and greed index. And like I said, it's changed every day, so just have a little look about it. It's obviously not the be all and end all. We have to use all the other indicators that we know, but especially for hodl fire trades and day trades as well, if all your indicators are saying, oh, this could be a good buy, and the fear and greed index also agrees, that is just another indicator, because it's a fear and greed index is an indicator to help you decide whether to buy or sell. So that is the fear and greed index, and I hope everyone learned just a little bit more about it today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Vicky, on that. I'd be curious to
Wow.
know.
That was really, really good. That was really good. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. Wendy, do you ever look at the Fear Green Index, or do you just see what's happening?
No, no, and the reason I know Marius does because that really takes effect for long-term trading. But for me, the freedom, I can tell the market by, whether it's going to be good or not because I'm only worried about minutes. So there's really no fear for me. It's either good for a couple minutes or it's not good for a couple minutes.
I, I suppose, but I mean, one of the things that kind of stood out was that extreme greed side of things. When like everyone's FOMOing,
Mm,
and I think a lot of you can
true.
put your thumbs up, and we won't know who's putting their thumbs up. Trust us, don't put up your hand though. Who of you have FOMOed into a trade before? Whoops, somebody didn't listen to instructions. Um, Okay, guys, I said put your thumbs up, not your hands up. All right, thanks. Who of you have FOMOed into a trade before? You bought in the top of the trades, whether it be scalp trade, and then all of a sudden the thing turns around. Same with the hodl fire or any other higher time frame trade. When there's that FOMO and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I must buy in," and then it turns around, right? So we teach you all, and you guys all know this. We teach you how to trade safely and when to try get into the bottom of the run. And there are a couple of things that show you not only the Hodlnots indicator, but also along with the understanding of timeframes on the hodl fire. There is that as well. But yeah, what do you guys use to read when to get into a trade? Pop it into the Q&A section. What do you guys use to read when to get into a trade? There are a couple of indicators, a couple of other factors as well. Do you wake up and look what Bitcoin is doing? Do you see what Bitcoin dominance is doing? Do you see what the color of the numbers in your watch list are showing or the percentages? Is it a specific indicator? We'd love to hear from you around that because, yes, for long-term traders, and Marius has said this as well many times, when there's a lot of fear in the market, it's a good time to be looking for buying opportunities. So agree with that, Vicky. Thank you very much for that. So the
I've
rest of
got
you,
a
yeah,
I've
pop it
I've
in.
got a friend John that he actually got me into crypto way back in the day. Um, he's got the saying that whenever his grandma starts asking him about Bitcoin, that's when he sells.
That is
So
so
as soon
true.
as it gets on the radar of all the very, very, very non-techie people,
Mm.
that's when you need to sell.
Because everybody's buying in, then everyone else who knows the thing or two might start selling. It's a good. So can you keep us updated about your friend's grandmother and when she starts talking
I'll
about
I'll
it?
I'll, I'll try.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Lovely. So there are a couple of other things we want to talk about as we get on with things. Also, we're going to show you something. Thanks, Harry, for your comments on that. Thanks, Sharon. The HODL fire indicator plus support and resistance telling you when you should get in to a trade. Nice work. Now, let's get into what has been happening in the markets. And again, a lot of us just don't really care what's happening with, maybe Bitcoin or whatever. We see what is tradable, and like Graham says, see the trade, take the trade. So, Marcel, give us an update as to what's all's been happening in the Hodlnots community of the Den and the Lodge.
Cool. Let's do that. Okay, so the last couple of weeks were actually quite great for the scalpers. Um, Looking at some of the percentages that we've got on this weekly report, this was a little bit. It was about 2 weeks in June. Yes, no, sorry, in May. It ended this June. So here's some of the trades that's been done from our members in the den, or by our members in the den rather. And for those of you, like I always say, that's here for the first time on this call, these are not long-term trades. They're not day trades. These are scalps. So it's literally less, I'd say less than 5 minutes. That's probably a good indicator of how long between buying in and selling. So let's have a look. Yeah, we had a 29% and 8%. There was some shorts here somewhere. I think Alpaca was traded short by everyone. So there was 12%, 7%, 12%, 25%. All of them were shorts. And then we had a 5% on virtual, 4% here, 9.1%. There were loads of other higher, not higher, but high percentages like these. These were just some of the ones that I added on. There was a 32%. So all in all, it was a good 2 weeks. And then if we look at the last week, up until the 8th of June, wasn't bad either. So yeah, we had new coin. Someone grabbed 8% on that, 9% there, 7%, 18%. Flynn actually did well. A lot of the members took profit there on this coin. So there was a 35, a 32, 18%, another 14%. Then some other coins, 8% on Nerta, 11.1% BNB XBT, 30% on Zencoin, another almost 20% on Fact. So
These are all
the
in minutes
scalping,
there, Badger. These are all just in
yes,
minutes.
scalping in the den has been great for the last couple of weeks, as you can see here. And what we've also done, like always, we've ran some contests in the lodge for our members. This month we actually had two fun ones. The one was they needed to create their own token, or not a real token, but if they had to launch a token, what would they call it and why? So we had some good entries, some fun ones, some ones that were actually well thought out. So we had that contest.
Sorry, what were some of the highlights of the coins that came up there?
Well, for me, it was the brisket token.
The brisket.
And we actually, the member that won actually had his own token that he had back in the day, which didn't work out, but he actually did launch it back in the day.
Wow.
If I can remember, it was called Incinerate or something.
Okay.
If I recall correctly. So that was quite cool.
So did that person work for a crematorium or?
I think it had to do with the burning of the tokens or something.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Incinerate.
Then, yes, INC8, I think was the token, the handle. Then we had another fun one, which is just like a share any crypto meme. So we had some cool memes pop up, some classics, some newer ones. That was just to keep things a little bit more lighthearted in the lodge. And yeah, that was it from the lodge and the den.
And people were winning hodl fires or the like there, Marcel?
Yes. So one person won a 30-day hodl fire subscription, and the other person won a call with Wendy, which
wow.
is a lot of value.
Wonderful.
A lot of
I'm
value.
ready.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of value being in the lodge and the den. I mean, a lot of you on the call, actually, I wouldn't say most of you. There are a couple of people who haven't yet done the course, part of the den community and the lodge community. Look at those percentages. I mean, yeah, we've had a little bit of Bitcoin going up. Interestingly enough, I think we're at 33 days now with Bitcoin above 100,000. 33 days. That's obviously first time ever. So who knows? Maybe this time next year we'll be saying, "Oh yeah, Bitcoin's been above 200,000 for more than 30 days or whatever it is." But
So can this now be the new floor, please?
yes, please. Let's let's not go any lower. But one of the things that we will be talking about in the next 17 minutes or so on the Hodl Fire call is Bitcoin dominance. All right. So I'm not going to touch on it again. We touched on Monday. But knowing what kind of day is ahead in terms of where's the cash flowing, is it going to Bitcoin and all these ETFs and everything else, or is some of it flowing back into the alts? Because yeah, just looking at the watch list at the moment, things are okay, but there's potential. I mean, Mexi's got some great runners. I mean, a lot of those coins, Marcel, here that you were posting about in the Den update, the grabbed, were from Mexi, right?
Yes. There was actually a KuCoin one in there, to be
What?
honest.
Ah,
KuCoin.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
good for that
yeah.
Cool.
person.
Well, actually, I think I know because I don't think the person's on the call at the moment, but we've had a couple of people joining the Minute Money Masters Challenge, Wendy, and
Right.
we've had a couple of people blitzing through the different levels. Do you want to quickly give a very
I
quick?
know. I know that I have been so excited. There were several of them doing it at the same time, and they were just blowing through these coins. It's like light bulbs all of a sudden came on. So I was really excited to see several of them all at the same time advancing up.
Absolutely. I'm trying to see if any of them are on the call at the moment. No, but yeah, well done to them for leveling up. And that's basically they've doubled their trading value. That's 100%, ladies and gents.
It's
And one,
beautiful.
yeah, one of the gentlemen that's busy doing that, ramping up the moment, has gone through, I think, doubled 3 times now in the space of like a month and a bit. That's 100% plus 100% plus 100% and more. So that's very impressive. On that note, we will wrap this up a little earlier than normal, but we do want to show you guys something hot off the press. Not even Mama Bear has seen it. She's aware of it, but yeah, surprise, Wendy. We're going to be sharing with you because, and after I play the video, Vicky will be telling you more about it, what's happening this Friday. So let's get into this little quick segment. Ooh, give me 1 second. Let's do that. Ladies and gents, let's go. During the live foundational trading course, you're going to be getting to grips with not only TradingView, but as well as the Hodlnots indicator, which is made up of 15 different indicators plus a couple of extra ones that we teach you how to read any time frame. Now, while the live course is based on the 1 minute time frame, where we utilize 1, 5, and 15 minutes, the same information can be applied to 1 hour, 2 hour, and 4 hours, and a bunch more. So this is the Hodlnots indicator that you see all here. We teach you all the various components for safe entries and exits. And then towards the end of the course, we teach you all about the HODL Fire, known as the neon green HODL Fire, about safe entries and exits, especially on time frames from 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour, and onwards, and how to utilize these to be able to bring in some passive income as well. And then, of course, our live Telegram classroom. This from a couple of courses ago, and in it you'll see that there are not any quizzes, but the opportunity for students to ask the questions. It's where we share a lot of the training materials and so much more in this 24/7 Telegram chat that is available for you for the duration of the course and for you to be able to still see all the notes and learning materials after the fact. So, another great element to this live Hodlnots foundational trading course. And if you head on over to the live foundational trading course product on bitcointaf.com, you'll be able to browse through the entire description of what the course is all about, why is now a good time to learn how to trade on any time frame, as well as some of the things to consider, the requirements, and of course the course outline in terms of what are you going to be learning on each of the days. Now bear in mind that this course has got 24/7 live support through Zoom trainings every single day, as well as a dedicated Telegram classroom in which you'll be supported. You'll be able to ask your questions. You'll have homework and any sort of group activity that will be taking place. All information will be in that Telegram classroom. Well, there you go, ladies and gents. Yet another masterpiece from the team behind the scenes. It's yeah, a new course is starting this Friday, And Vicky, I believe we've got students popping into the live Telegram classroom already.
Yeah, it was
Yes.
actually really good timing as that ad started. Whoop, one of them popped in. So yeah, our live course is starting this Friday, and there are still spots available. So if you do know anyone that would like to learn in the live environment, which we think is still the best. I mean, the self-paced course is great for people that cannot do the live. But the live course really is a standout. So if you do know anyone that wants to do it, there are still spots available, and it is starting Friday. So in 2 days, we're really excited. We love the course.
Absolutely. So, for those of you who have done the course and you've got friends and family, you know how valuable that foundational trading course is, obviously between the live course, the premium, and the self-paced. But be able to read the charts and understand when is a good time to buy. And it's not just looking at the fear and greed index and kind of wishing and taking things that are shilled of social media and so forth. It's actually being able to look at these time frames, whether you're using the hodl fire, you're going to be scalp trading, or just trading on the higher time frames. All of that information over in the bitcointaf.com product store, and go check out the live course there. All right, so that's all happening on Friday. That's pretty exciting. So one of the other things I wanted to kind of just touch on, and it's something we're going to delve more into next week on Monday in the weekly warm-up. Did you guys know that in Bolivia, I don't know if you guys have seen this, Wendy, Morris, and Mark.
Bolivia?
Bolivia, yeah, Bolivia, is that in the duty-free store at the airport, they have got duty-free goods that are priced in USDT. Now that's a
Nice.
first thing, the
Hmm.
tether, the stable coin. And which is interesting is that we know that a lot of people are looking at stable coins. A lot of countries are looking at stable coins. And yes, stable coins are generally pegged to the dollar, but billions of dollars are going into stable coins, into the development there. And if countries are starting to look at USDT as a reference, or currency reference, we're going to see more global adoption of cryptocurrency as a whole, not just Bitcoin. I mean, in Vicky was talking on Monday about there's like 1,800 ATM Bitcoin ATMs in Australia, third largest in the world. But here in South Africa, a couple of grocery stores and franchises have actually been accepting Bitcoin, Solana, Litecoin as payment methods. But who knows in the future? You might be able to use your USDT or USDC. Obviously, depending on if you're in Europe and other countries, that USDT is a bit regulated at the moment. But that's pretty exciting. We're starting to see this USDT that we trade with. Now imagine being able to take the USDT that you have in your wallet and being able to pay for goods directly instead of having to sell it into Bitcoin or Solana or Ripple. I mean, would that make your guys' life any better, Vicky, Marcel, Wendy?
It's interesting that people are using USDT. That's really, really interesting.
I
Yeah, I
think we
think it will
need
be a
to, oh,
good
sorry.
segue into crypto for people that's worried about coins going up and down, up and down. Maybe just get them onto USDT first and have it be sort of stable.
Absolutely.
That's
Vicky?
a really good point. Yeah. And also I was just as because I'm doing it at the moment, I think we need to do a little bit more research on the crypto credit cards or I suppose
Hmm.
debit cards because there are quite a lot out there and there were some at the conference too, but not every card's available in every country. So I think it would be great to do some research. We might pop that in next month onto this call because that's how you'll be able to spend your USDT. So get a crypto credit card that holds USDT and then you can just tap, tap, tap like you do normally. But we just have to do a bit more research because not every card is available in every country at the moment.
Absolutely. Does
Correct.
anybody have, and you guys in the audience, as we wrap this up, does anybody have a crypto debit or credit card? Wendy, do you have one?
No, I used to,
Hmm.
but I don't have one now.
Well, it'll be interesting to see that adoption. I know that a lot of us would prefer that instead of using P2P or vendors, third party,
Mm.
etc., be able to load your USDT, not just your
Do you
Litecoins.
have one, John?
No, I don't. So I'd have to have money to be able to load it to a crypto card, but no, I don't have a card. My dad had one. He's had it for a number of years. My dad's been in crypto for 7 years or so. So
Mm.
I think he had one that was based out of Europe, but I can't remember the details. You can always find out. But yeah, we'll be looking at bringing more information like that kind of thing as you see global adoption of cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, etc. Become more widespread. And listen, ladies and gents, we're still early. We're still very early in terms of things. And I was having a discussion with a mate yesterday, and talking about how Bitcoin back then, and also my dad as well, I think bought Bitcoin at $8,000. And then when it went to $10,000, like he sold and he was like, oh, this is amazing, whatever. And, shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? But we're still early. Bitcoin's 100,000. Michael Saylor's talking about projected at $13 million a Bitcoin. I mean, we all know if 200,000 would be a great first step, 500,000, a million. So we're still early. All right. Being out early.
Yeah, what was that?
Yeah.
What was that next door to us or across the way from us at the conference? They had a really good tagline, which I've said before, but I can't quite remember, something like "Get into Bitcoin early again," and that
Yes.
is so true.
Absolutely. So for all of you, if you can afford, whether it be $10, 20, 50, $100 a month, buy into some Bitcoin, leave it alone. Think about legacy. Think about generational wealth, and look at it in 10 years, 15, 20 years time again. It's just a thought. Only do what you can afford. Always use stop losses. Make sure risk management is in place. So as we wrap this up, just a couple of minutes early, because we know there is a DTM call, but we've got the Hodl Fire call happening in a few minutes for those of you who will be joining us. Remember, active Hodl Fire subscription. Those of you who haven't tried it, you can try the 7-day free trial. Head on over to the bitcointaf.com store and apply for that 7-day free coupon that you can only use once. But any closing remarks, Wendy, Marcel, and Vicky, as we wrap up this 47th edition of the Hodlnots Happy Hour?
No, I wish everybody a happy trading day. And we're looking at Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's still staying up there. So, I mean, it's not just tanking like everybody thinks. So it is a very good time to get into learning how to trade. So hopefully you'll jump on that course that we have starting up in the next day or two. So there's still plenty of time to learn.
Absolutely. Marcel?
From my side, I hope next time we meet, Bitcoin has doubled. Let's see.
Woohoo!
So what calls in
Speaking that
3 months time, 4 months time? All right, so lovely. Well, and then Vicky, last closing comments.
Yeah, thanks for everyone for joining the call. And if we didn't have a Hodl Fire giveaway, but you, as John said, go over to social media, like and tweet and tag, and you could win one. So that's the opportunity this week.
Absolutely. And for those IPO members, a reminder, keep an eye on that channel for the hot news dropping there shortly. We'll drop this recording in the channels and everywhere as soon as it's done. And we look forward to seeing you guys on one of our next live sessions, whether it be the Hodl Fire session in 3 minutes, or any of the live trainings that we do, or the weekly warm-up next week, or the next 4H in a month's time. Until next time, bye.
Good to see everybody. Have a great week. Bye.
To everyone.